A mid-sized bank got audited by Oracle. They thought they were compliant. They had receipts. They had contracts. They even had a dedicated IT team. The audit result? $14 million in unexpected licensing fees. Why? Because they had never built an effective license position. They didn't know what they actually had deployed versus what they were entitled to use. And Oracle's auditors? They knew exactly. This is the most expensive mistake in enterprise IT. And today, I'm going to make sure you never make it. I'm Shub, the license nerd, and welcome to the ELP Masterclass. This is a brand new series where I'm going to teach you everything about building, maintaining, and leveraging your effective license position. Whether you're dealing with IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, or any other vendor, the ELP is your single most powerful weapon against audits, overspending, and compliance disasters. And this first video covers the foundation, what an ELP actually is, why you desperately need one, and the 7 prerequisites you must have before you can build one. So what is an effective license position? In simple terms, it's a reconciliation, a comparison. On one side, you have your entitlements, what you're legally allowed to use based on your contracts, purchase orders, and agreements. On the other side, you have your deployments, what's actually installed, running, and being consumed across your entire IT environment. The ELP brings these two sides together and tells you one of 3 things. You're under-licensed, meaning you're using more than you own, which is an audit risk. You're over-licensed, meaning you're paying for software nobody uses, which is wasted money. Or you're correctly licensed, the holy grail that almost nobody achieves without deliberate effort. The term ELP was originally coined by Microsoft, but it applies to every software vendor. Think of it like a financial audit for your software. Just like your finance team reconciles bank statements against transactions, your IT team needs to reconcile license entitlements against actual usage. The difference? If your finance team finds a discrepancy of $100, it's a rounding error. If your software team finds a discrepancy of 100 licenses, that could be a $5 million compliance gap. The stakes in software licensing are astronomically higher than most people realize. Here's why an ELP isn't optional. It's survival. Reason 1, audit defense. IBM, Oracle, Microsoft, and SAP audit thousands of companies yearly. Without an ELP, you're blind. The auditor knows your position better than you do. Reason 2, cost optimization. Organizations without an ELP overspend by 20 to 30%. On $10 million annual spend, that's $2 to $3 million wasted every year. Reason 3, renewal negotiation power. Without an ELP, you're negotiating blind. Vendors love customers who don't know their position. Reason 4, M&A due diligence. When companies merge, software estates collide. I've seen acquisitions where the compliance gap exceeded the acquisition price. Reason 5, budget accuracy. CFOs hate surprises. An ELP eliminates them. Reason 6, risk reduction. Some vendors can terminate agreements for non-compliance, shutting down your critical applications. An ELP is your insurance policy. Now here's where most people go wrong. They try to build an ELP without the prerequisites in place. It's like trying to build a house without a foundation. You'll waste months of effort and end up with something unreliable. I'm going to give you the 7 prerequisites that must be in place before you attempt to build your ELP. Miss even one of these, and your ELP will be incomplete, inaccurate, or both. Let's start with prerequisite number 1. Prerequisite 1. A complete software inventory. You need to know what's installed across every server, desktop, VM, cloud instance, and container. Deploy discovery tools with both agent-based and agentless scanning. Common tools: SCCM, ILMT, Flexera, Snow, ServiceNow, SAM. If you don't have 95% or higher coverage, you're not ready. Prerequisite 2. License entitlement documentation. Gather every purchase order, license certificate, invoice, and agreement. For Microsoft, check VLSC. For IBM, Passport Advantage. For Oracle, your CSI documents. For SAP, named user agreements. The painful truth? Most organizations have this scattered across 5 to 10 departments. Procurement has some. IT has some. Legal has some. Nobody has the complete picture. Centralizing this is Prerequisite 2. Prerequisite 3, hardware asset data. Licenses run on hardware, and hardware configuration directly affects licensing. How many physical servers? How many cores per processor? What's your virtualization topology? What about cloud instances? IBM licenses by PVU based on processor type. Oracle uses core factors. Microsoft SQL licenses by physical core. If you don't know your hardware, you cannot calculate license requirements. Prerequisite 4. Understanding license metrics. Per user versus per device. Named user versus concurrent. Per core versus per processor. Subscription versus perpetual. Example. Microsoft SQL Server Enterprise with software assurance gives unlimited virtualization. Without it, you're licensing individual VMs. That's a 10x cost difference from one metric misunderstanding. If your team doesn't understand metrics, your ELP will be wrong. Prerequisite 5, all environment coverage. It's not enough to have discovery in production. You need coverage across development, test, staging, disaster recovery, and training. I've seen companies with 100% production coverage but zero in test environments. Guess what? Test environments still need licenses. Auditors always check them. Your discovery is only as good as its coverage. Prerequisite 6, organizational buy-in and stakeholder alignment. This is the prerequisite that nobody talks about, but it kills more ELP projects than any technical challenge. You need buy-in from IT operations who control the infrastructure, procurement who hold the contracts, finance who control the budget, legal who understand the agreement terms, and executive leadership who provide the authority and resources. Without executive sponsorship, your ELP project will be deprioritized the moment something urgent comes up. Without procurement cooperation, you'll never get complete entitlement data. Without IT operations support, you'll never get full discovery coverage. The ELP is a cross-functional exercise. Treat it as one. Prerequisite 7. A defined scope and prioritization framework. You cannot build an ELP for every vendor simultaneously. It's too complex, too resource-intensive, and too overwhelming. You need to prioritize. Start with your highest-risk vendors. Which vendors audit most aggressively? Oracle and IBM are notorious. Which vendors represent your largest spend? Probably Microsoft and SAP. Which vendors have upcoming renewals? Those need immediate attention. My recommendation: start with your top 3 vendors by spend or risk. Build those ELPs first, then expand. Trying to boil the ocean on day 1 is the fastest path to failure. Scope it, prioritize it, execute it. Now let me show you what happens when you don't have these prerequisites. Company A tried to build an ELP without complete discovery. They missed 200 servers in a remote data center. Result: $3.2 million Oracle audit finding on those undiscovered servers alone. Company B had discovery but no entitlement documentation. They couldn't prove they owned licenses they'd purchased 8 years ago. The vendor treated them as unlicensed. Result: $1.8 million in repurchase costs for software they already owned. Company C had everything technical but no executive buy-in. The project was deprioritized 3 times. By the time they completed it, an audit had already started. Result: zero negotiation leverage because the auditor's data was more current than theirs. Let me give you the ELP Readiness Checklist. Before you start building your ELP, score yourself on each of these 7 prerequisites. 1. Do you have a discovery tool deployed with 95% or higher coverage across all environments? 2. Have you centralized all license entitlement documentation in one accessible location? 3. Do you have accurate hardware asset data including virtualization topology? 4. Does your team understand the licensing metrics for your in-scope vendors? 5. Is your discovery tool scanning production, dev, test, DR, and training environments? 6. Do you have executive sponsorship and cross-functional stakeholder alignment? 7. Have you defined a clear scope with prioritized vendors? If you scored yes on all 7, you're ready to build your ELP. If you scored no on even one, fix that gap first. The next video in this series will show you exactly how to build the ELP once these prerequisites are in place. Here's the bottom line. An effective license position is not a luxury. It's not a nice to have. It's the single most important document in your entire IT governance framework. Without it, you're flying blind. You're overspending by 20 to 30%. You're vulnerable to audits that can cost millions. You're negotiating renewals without leverage. And you're making decisions based on assumptions instead of data. The 7 prerequisites I've given you today are your foundation. Get them right, and building your ELP becomes straightforward. Skip them, and you'll waste months producing something unreliable. In the next video, I'll walk you through the exact 4-step methodology to build your ELP from scratch. Entitlement analysis, deployment discovery, reconciliation, and optimization. I'm Shub, the license nerd. This is the ELP Masterclass, and we're just getting started. If this video helped you understand what an ELP is and what you need before building one, smash that subscribe button. Share this with your IT team, your procurement team, and your CIO. Because the companies that know their license position control their costs. The companies that don't, they get controlled by vendors. Drop a comment telling me which vendor gives you the most licensing headaches: Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, or SAP. I'll prioritize that vendor's ELP deep dive in a future video. The licensing game rewards preparation. Now you know how to prepare. See you in the next one.